Test. Is everything working? Yes? Okay, great. All right, guys, let's move on. Thank you, thank you. Let's move on with the workshops now. We will talk about the fundamentals now, but before we dive into the fundamentals, we will cover something that will take a bit more time. So for everyone that still hasn't set up their local Solana development environment, feel free to visit the docs. I'll share the QR code that you can scan in the live stream as well. And for those that are here, you can basically go on Solana, go through the docs, and go to the installation and install dependencies. Now, here you can, if you're on a Mac, you can just copy this command. We can just trust it.
Don't trust it always.
And then I already did it, but you can paste it here and then click on install. This will take a while. This is basically why we are doing it now. If you're on Windows, it's a bit more, I guess, complicated. We have a friend here who has apparently done this before. So if you have any problems with this, and if you're on Windows, feel free to come up to us later, and we will make sure that your environment is working. Yeah, as I said, like just run this in the background. This will install all the dependencies that we will need later on. And then while this is loading, we can continue with the slides. Screen. Okay. All right. Okay. So before we get into the actual fundamentals, into the accounts, programs, and everything, I want to quickly remind everyone to the first workshop. As you guys know, the goal with Solana is parallel execution. In other words, Solana wants to execute as much non-conflicting work as possible at the same time. But to do that safely, the runtime needs more information up front. And it needs to know what state a transaction is going to touch. And it needs to know which transactions can run together and which one would conflict with each other. And that is why Solana transactions declare accounts up front. So this is not a random developer friction. It is because parallel execution requires this explicitly. And once you accept this requirement, the rest of the architecture starts to make a bit more sense and will be easier to understand. Everything is an account. You'll hear this a lot. Programs do not store states inside themselves. Code and state are separated. So this slide is really the bridge into this whole mental model. So as I mentioned, everything is an account on Solana. The most important mental model, and you will hear this a lot, everything is an account, remember this. If you understand this slide, a lot of the rest becomes more easy. So Solana stores all state in accounts. Your wallet is an account. your program is an account, token balances live in accounts, application state lives in accounts, authority patterns are built around accounts, ownership is expressed through accounts, balances are expressed through accounts, and app data is also expressed through accounts. So rather than having many separate primitives, Solana keeps pulling everything back to the same building block. And that is why accounts sit at the center of this architecture. And that is why when you try to understand any Solana system, a very good first question is, where does the state live? What accounts hold it, and who owns that account, and who is allowed to modify this account? Okay, so if everything is an account, the next question is, what exactly is an account? How does it look? Every Solana account has the same basic structure, and the consistency is important because it means the runtime can reason about all accounts in a uniform way. And the key fields are lamports, data, owner, executable, and rent epoch. Lamports are the account's sole balance. Data is the raw bytes stored inside the account. Owner is the program that controls that account's data and rules. Executable tells us whether the account contains program code, and rent epoch is part of the account's metadata as well. And here's one of the most important clarifications. Owner does not mean signer. Owner means control over the account's data. This is a common mistake that people do. Signer means transaction authority. Those are different things. A user can sign a transaction, but that does not mean the user owns the account in the Solana sense. Only the owning program can directly modify the account's data and debit its lamports. And this distinction matters a lot once you start building, and this is something that gets mixed a lot. And even though all accounts share the same basic structure, they serve different purposes, so there are different types of accounts. There are system accounts. Those are the ordinary like wallets style accounts users interact with directly. They can hold SOL, sign transactions. Program accounts exist as well. They contain the code, the executable code. They are deployed programs on Solana. And then there are data accounts. They hold application-specific state. This is where your app actually stores information. Token accounts hold token balances under the rule of the token program. And then, so the key idea is that same primitive, but they serve different roles. And the role depends on who owns the account and whether it is an executable. So this is also why it helps to think in terms of account roles instead of just address equals wallet. So when you see an account, you should ask, like, is this holding SOL? Is this a program? Is this app state? Is this a token account? So like some of these concepts will click in with time. Like this is part of the reason why Solana is so fast. It's obviously a bit more difficult for developers then because of this account model. And but again, like don't get discouraged by this if you don't understand it at the first time. As I said, it will click over time. Another important concept is rent exemption. Solana's concept is that accounts do not just appear automatically. They must be explicitly created, initialized. They must be allocated with space, and they must be funded. And that is where a rent exception comes in. Accounts need a minimum lamport balance based on their size. And the larger the account, the more lamports are required to make it rent exempt. The easiest way to think about this is a refundable storage deposit. If you create an account, you fund it with enough lamports to keep it alive, and if you later close that account, you usually recover those lamperts. And this matters because building on Solana means thinking about storage explicitly. Who creates the account, who pays for it, how much space does it need? Those are all real design questions in Solana programs. Okay, so this one is, this is one of the biggest Solana mindset shifts. Programs are stateless processors. They do not store data inside themselves. Instead, they receive accounts as input, and they validate the accounts, they check authority, constraints, they read the state from the accounts, they compute the new state, and then they write the results back. So code and mutable states are separated, and that separation is a big reason also why Solana can parallelize effectively. So two transactions can call the same program at the same time, as long as they operate on different data accounts. And this is also why accounts matter so much, because the program itself is not where the mutable state lives. The state lives in the accounts passed into the program. Okay, so how does execution actually happen on Solana? So the basic unit of logic is an instruction. An instruction is one program call. It specifies the program ID, the accounts involved, and the input data. You can think of it as telling the runtime, call this program with these accounts and this data. Transactions then bundle one or more instructions together, and these transactions are the unit that gets signed and sent to the network. The wallet signs these transactions, the transaction, and then the runtime executes the instruction or instructions inside it. And another important thing, transactions are atomic. So either all instructions succeed together or the whole transaction fails. This is also where signatures and fees live. So the mental model is instruction equals action, and then transaction equals atomic container for actions. Okay, so PDAs. This is also a concept that is a bit harder to grasp and will come over time. I wouldn't force it, so to say. You can learn by doing, and I'm sure that over time it will click. Yeah, so PDA stands for program-derived address. PDA is deterministic. It's really important. It is derived from seeds, a program ID, and a bump. And the important conceptual point here is that it does not have a normal private key behind it. So, and this exists for a reason, because programs do not have private keys, but they still need a way to control accounts and authorize actions. For example, a program might need to own a vault, manage program state, or hold escrowed assets, or sign for a program control token account, and PDAs solve that problem. They give programs a predictable address and a way to express program authority without a private key. And when the program provides the correct seeds and bump, the runtime can treat this PDA as a signer authority for that invocation. And this is why PDAs are so important for program-owned state and program-controlled assets. So the two things to remember are what a PDA is and why it exists. Okay, now a recap. So accounts store data, programs are stateless, instructions call programs, transactions bundle instructions atomically, and PDAs that programs control accounts without private keys. If that structure is starting to click, everything will make more sense. And it takes a while to click, and the good, I guess, news is You don't necessarily need all of this to click now in order to build something on Solana, build your app on Solana. Especially with AI now, we don't have to pretend like AI doesn't exist. We can use it to our advantage to ship something for Colosseum. And if once these fundamentals click, it will obviously help you with development later on, especially once the project gets bigger and you need to dig into more detail. Okay, so the idea now is to connect this theory to actual workflow and do some hands-on stuff. I don't know what the, if the installation is over for you guys or if you want to follow. But we can continue with the CLI. Who here has their development environment ready or wants to follow the CLI tool? Okay, cool. And who here has, or like just a general question, who here has built on Solana before? Okay, nice. Okay, great. Obviously for you guys this will be a bit more boring, but for everyone else who is new, I think this will be interesting to see. Okay. Okay. So now let's go over some CLI basics, basically. So everything that we kind of talked about, we can kind of do using the CLI in our terminal right here. So first you can check if everything installed correctly. You can do that by checking for the Solana version, for instance, and see if it worked properly. As you can see, I have it installed. It installed some other dependencies as well, like Rust, Surfpool, Anchor, which we will not use now. We will stick to the CLI tool. What we can do here is we can check where our CLI first is pointed. So whether we are on mainnet or on devnet, we can do that with config get. Okay, you need to write it correctly. Config get. Okay, so let's check. Okay. Yeah, we can, if you run Solana config get, you'll see that we are currently on devnet. You definitely want to be on devnet if you want to follow. This is where we develop things and test things before we push it on mainnet. And do things with real money. You obviously want to test things before with DevNet Sol, which is not real money and it's just for development. If you're not on DevNet, you can run Solana config set UD. This will switch you to DevNet then, which you'll see here. And then we can run Solana key gen new. Okay, let me check. Solana key gen new. Okay, you definitely need to get the right command for it, which is Solana keygen new. Refusing to override. Yeah, I already have one. So if you don't have a key pair, let's just take mine. You can run Solana address, and then you'll see your address that was created with keygen new, Solana keygen new. And then you can here check your balance as well with Solana balance, and you can see I have 0.5 SOL. So the next thing would be, like you probably don't have any SOL, DevNet SOL here, so you would run Solana airdrop, and this usually never works. Yeah, it failed. Like this usually never works, which is why you can use the faucet. You have to connect your GitHub, and then you can get your address, which we got before with Solana address. You can basically copy and paste it here. You can pick an amount, let's say 0.5. Again, you need to connect your GitHub real quick. And then you click on confirm airdrop. Okay, so requires please sign up. Okay, this is I actually have to do it here. This is the wrong profile. I am not signed up here. Okay. So once again, let's pick our wallet or address, and then we'll paste it here. Pick an amount because we will need it later on, or you'll need it with anything to pay for transaction fees and more, and then click on confirm. And it takes a while, and you can have like 2 requests per 8 hours. Okay, so it worked apparently. Now we can check. Now we can check with the Solana balance. And yeah, I had 0.5, now I have 1 SOL. So you get the idea. You can use the CLI basically to play around and do whatever you want. You can create transfer. Airdrop doesn't really work properly, but and this is interesting, but perhaps more interesting is that you can do this programmatically as well, using TypeScript, using Solana Kit that we talked about earlier as well. So let's have a look at that too. Okay. set everything up. Let's go to code. Let's create this Bootcamp folder. Let's cd into it. It should be empty exactly. And now we can have a look at this. Okay. Now, everything that we just did, we can pretty much do with using Solana Kit as well. And let me share my screen for that, because this is the wrong one. Need to get in here, and then window, this one. Okay. Actually, let me have a look at something else, because I think I already prepped something. CD boot prep should be this one. Okay, let's open it. This is the wrong screen. Let me set everything up properly. And yeah, okay. So basically, just like as I mentioned, and we talked about, Solana Web 3 JS is no longer being used, or you can use it, but it's now the legacy SDK. So you should be looking into Solana Kit, which is this TypeScript SDK, and you can basically use it like just how we did it with the CLI. You can connect to DevNet, RPC, and in this example, we pick an address to inspect, which is, I believe it should be my wallet yeah, exactly. It's the same address that we sent 0.5 Sol to, and then we fetch the balance in Lamports. This is important, and we convert those Lamports in Sol, and then we basically print the results. So okay, I closed it. Just a second. Yeah, so if you run this with npm start, you'll see that we basically just did what we did with a CLI, now in a programmatic way with TypeScript, which is obviously more both powerful and which is what you will be using all of the time as well. And there's basically so much more to this. And I definitely recommend you to, in a couple in an hour or so when you have more time to go into this, dig deeper into this and have a look at it and play around with it. But now, to kind of wrap things up, I want to talk about the Helios MCP server and skills, because this is really powerful. As I said, you don't have to be, you don't need to fully understand how all these low-level stuff on Solana works in order to build on top of it. Helios is an RPC provider, infrastructure provider on Solana, and they have really good tools that you can use, like MCPs and skills that you should definitely install on your local environment and get everything set up. There is much more, there are many more AI tools that we will hear about later as well. But yeah, to kind of, I want to quickly show you how simple it can be to quickly build your MVP for Colosseum by just using these tools and leveraging these tools. The setup is like really simple, and I've already done it, so we can use it right away. Okay. Now let's get the right screen on stage, because this is the wrong one. Share screen, Helios example. We can close this one. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so I'm using Codex, but you can use Claude or whatever you want. You can just quickly set up your environment, install the MCPs and skills, and I have prepped a prompt. That we can give it, and this is an example for like a mini explorer that will give you your will show you your balance and the last 5 transactions and give you the explorer link. This is obviously too basic of an idea for Colosseum, but this is also something that you can look into, all of this Solana data, because Solana has 10 times more data than Ethereum, for instance, and Solana data is generally like a bit more complicated, especially now that we talked about accounts and Solana, how Solana works on a bit lower level. There is a lot more to it, so tools like these usually are a good thing to build, which Helios is, by the way, also building. It's they're working on an AI-enabled or an AI explorer, block explorer that you can use to understand what's going on Solana better. But yeah, this is like a really simple one, and as I said, I just gave it this prompt: build a minimal Solana wallet explorer in Next.js, TypeScript, and Tailwind. The user will input the wallet address, which is all that's needed, and it will output the SOL balance, the last 5 transactions, and the Explorer link. This will happen on DevNet. You will need a Helios API key, which you can quickly get. There's a free plan. And then saying things like keep the UI simple and modern, and let's see what will come out of it. Yeah, in the meantime, we will, let's allow the MCP. In the meantime, a common misconception for a Colosseum as well is that you need to, this was my first misconception back then when I first participated as well. People think that you need to deploy a program for a submission or else you can't win. This is not the case. You don't have to build a complicated program in order to win. You can simply use different APIs like we are doing right now. So definitely keep this in mind when you're working on your submission for Colosseum. Another thing is your pitch deck. Definitely leave time for that. I know this is like a 5-week sprint, but usually people focus too much on the MVP and decide to add more to the slides, more features to their app instead of working on the slides. This is also another pitfall, which we will cover tomorrow as well in detail, which, by the way, we will be talking about all things Colosseum tomorrow. So if you want to join us, definitely don't miss out on that. I think it will be really useful and valuable. We will be using Colosseum's Copilot, which basically gives us access to all of the previous of the past submissions and more. We will also look at some, I guess, more different approaches, like looking at what VCs currently find interesting. There are all these reports by VCs. They put a lot of money and effort into it, but I feel like a lot of Colosseum participants, they don't really look at that, even though it's like super simple. Multi-Coin Capital, for instance, has a blog post that you can read through. This is definitely alpha that you guys should hopefully look at and go through for your submission. But yeah, tomorrow will also be a great opportunity to get feedback on your current idea or brainstorm and come up with something else perhaps and get feedback, and also maybe getting roasted by AI. We can give Copilot your idea and then we can see what it thinks about it, how it likes it, how it sees your probabilities of winning. Yeah. Okay, so this takes a bit more time. So in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or here, if anyone here has questions, feel free to ask. We have a lot of people that can potentially answer them today. Yeah, this is kind of like one of the problems with Codex, I guess. It takes a bit longer. I have it set to extra high reasoning as well, so. But what it basically does, it's leveraging Helios, obviously, and building our app, which basically we'll have a look at it shortly, but this is also something that you guys need to, especially first-time participants in Colosseum, need to understand. This is just an MVP. As I said, like focus on one feature, focus on one key feature, and then focus on the pitch deck, because at the end of the day, I don't want to say it's a pitch deck competition, but at the end of the day, this is pre-seed very early on, so the pitch deck is really, really important. What the MVP does is it shows the judges that you could potentially build this out and you know what you're doing. Are there any questions, or does anyone want to share their idea for Colosseum, maybe? Or
For that we also have time tomorrow.
yeah, but maybe if people want to share it there, we're waiting for whatever Tilo is.
Nee, nee. Ich wollte ungefähr gucken, zeitlich so, was denkst du?
10, 15 Minuten.
Perfekt.
Another thing that I can definitely show you is Blueshift. If you haven't heard of it, there's an ambassador here, Blueshift ambassador. I would highly recommend you to use this. I personally like stuff like this where I can learn basically by myself and go through all of these chapters. It's a Solana development learning platform. All of these core concepts are covered here, and you can even connect your wallet and then get your NFT once you complete a chapter. There are also challenges, and once you do those challenges, you can also get some valuable DevNet Soul that you could be needing later on. So, but yeah, this is a course that I highly recommend everyone doing, even if you don't build a Solana program for your submission for Colosseum. Definitely have a look at this. It basically covers all the blockchain fundamentals. It's talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and what the problems were and what led to Solana. And it tells everything and explains everything in a way that is like really easy to understand and follow, and builds on top of each content. So if you have time, I think this it says that it takes 15 hours, but you can do it much more quickly. So if you have time today, later on, and you don't know what to do, maybe this was too much or too fast or too little, you can definitely have a look at this and go over this, because this is completely free, and this will give you a really good base layer. Okay, so now that this is finished, we can check how it looks. And let's have a look what it did. Okay. Okay, so it obviously is like super simple. This is also what we typed in the prompt, but something like this is totally enough. I don't want to obviously you should build more and definitely even launch, but if you look at my submission for when I won Colosseum, the global track, it was basically as simple as this one, and I still won. So definitely don't focus too much on the shiny things, at least if you have time and if you want to launch, which you should definitely try to launch quickly. Now let's get our Solana address. Let's copy it, let's paste it here, and let's see if it works. Great, it works. So, just like we showed you with the CLI tool, we first use the CLI tool to create a key pair, to view our balance, view our address, which is this one. And then we use the faucet to airdrop us some DevNet Sol. And then we used Solana Kit to basically check for our balance programmatically instead of using the CLI. And then lastly, we used Helios to build out an app where we can enter the wallet address, inspect it, and it gets us our Solana balance and the latest transactions, which this is basically the one where we got ourselves the 0.5 Sol airdrop from the faucet. Yeah, so things can be super easy. Things can also be super fast, depending on what you want to build, what you want to ship. We're definitely here to help you guys out. Carlo already mentioned, if you haven't signed up for the Colosseum Hackathon, here is, you can go on our website and just click on register for the hackathon. This is really important. Do it with this link or this QR code that Carlo just shared, because that way we will be able to track you better and help you better. And yeah, if you need any help, just reach out to us. We can connect you to maybe a protocol that you are trying to integrate into your app, or if you have any technical questions. And yeah, so next up we will have Thilo from Light Protocol. Is he here, or is Thilo there or no? Okay, he's not there. Okay, he's not here. Okay, then let's take a 5-minute break, just like a quick break, and then Thilo will talk about payments and ZK compression. So if this is a relevant topic for you, definitely have a look at it and listen to it, ask questions, and yeah, see you in 5 minutes.
No. Okay, geht es Fullscreen auch oder nicht? Okay.
Relativ machen weiter.
Sollen wir kurz warten oder waren hier nicht gerade noch?
Oder willst du noch weiter?
Ich glaube, es sind gerade ein paar Leute gegangen. Lass kurz ein paar Minuten warten.
Okay, we will continue in 5 minutes.
Weißt du, ob eben gerade ein paar Leute rausgegangen sind oder was war? Ja, mal kurz. Danke. Oder sonst, ich kann auch anfangen, so. Passt auch. Let's see.
Willst du was haben?
Danke sehr. Das passt. Okay. Okay, so I think we're most people here now. So I guess we'll continue. And here I will show you all the components you guys will need to build precisely a payment application on Solana. But this also translates to many more applications. For example, you'll see in a minute all the providers and the components and how it will work under the hood. And also how to scale your app with ZK compression, which is a scaling primitive, which we built at Light Protocol. My name is Thilo, and we built ZK compression together with the Solana Foundation and Helios Labs, the RPC provider Merdan mentioned earlier. But first, I didn't get the full picture earlier. Who here has already built something on Solana? Okay, so quite a few. Who here is a developer or like? Okay, so kind of mixed audience, good. So yeah, let's line this up. So first, I'll go through the complete stack here from embedded wallets to RPC providers, gasless transactions, then going down how it works under the hood with the Solana account model, on which Merdan also touched on earlier, then how to scale this with the Light Token SDK, a set of APIs to scale, for example, your payment application or anything you build, and then finish up with the core primitive underneath, and then conclude with a few hackathon ideas and a Q&A if any questions come up. But I encourage you, if there are like any question, you can just raise your hand and we'll go from there. So, payments on Solana. Now, I don't have to tell you why Solana is good for payments. They have low reliable fees, even during congestion. Unlike EVM chains, you can see that they have transfers sometimes up to $100 on Ethereum itself or a few bucks on Base. No, we'll focus on what does a payment application or others as well actually require. And we'll start with the wallet infrastructure here. And there are a few providers which you can just plug in to your application. Privy is one of the most prominent ones, Para as well, and Crossmint. These provide embedded wallet infrastructure. So in your browser app, your users can have sort of a Web2 experience to log in via Google, Passkey, Apple, and so on, as far as I know. And it's just very smooth. If you would like have a more crypto-native audience, you would use the wallet adapter by the foundation and probably wallets like Phantom or Software so people can connect to that. But yeah, one underneath is, of course, the on and off ramp. If you have a payment application, you would use something like Bridge or MoonPay. MoonPay also has recently released a very useful CLI if you're building anything agent related. Then another very cool product or feature you can implement to improve, again, the UX is Cora, the custom fee relayer by the Solana Foundation. We'll dive a bit deeper into that later on and present a concept about this. Yeah, and of course, you'll need to somehow fetch the balances for your users, get your transaction history, or propagate your transactions to the network. And here, to get you started, Helios and the others, as far as I know, probably also have free plans to get you started. These are all leading RPC providers on Solana. And yeah, then the account infrastructure is how everything works below. Merdan also touched on this earlier, but we'll focus now on this in the next step. So here's the basic Solana account model, and we'll learn later how the Light Token SDK and ZK compression reduces here the cost for your application on anything you build there. Now, to make it really tangible is if you have any kind of application, any users, let's hope you get users, then everyone needs a wallet, right? This is just a key pair. And every wallet is an account which has different fields. For wallets, the data is empty. In the Lamports field, Lamports is the lowest denomination, like Satoshis for Bitcoin, is Lamports 1/1000th of one Solana token. Then you have the owner here that can modify the account data, which is the program. And then you have a Boolean flag here in the executable field, which is false. This would be true if it was a program. And programs are just smart contracts on Solana. Now, in essence, there are different types of Solana accounts. Everything is an account in Solana. That's just a container where data is stored and modified. And there are different types. And we'll meet them throughout this presentation. But there is this one thing, which we also touched many times on already today, which is called rent exemption. for the creation, and the amount is tied to the length of the data. Can you see my cursor? Yeah. How much data is stored in your account. So for example, if you hold a token in your wallet, you would need to add an extra account, and this costs approximately like 20 cents at the current SOL price. Yeah, just to make it like tangible in thinking from an application perspective, how to factor this into your economics. And this is sort of how it looks. Here I picked a few stable coins, USDC, USDG, PYUSD, and they're all held in your wallet, but on an account level, they are held in associated token accounts. Now, this is just a different account type again, and each of these cost like 20 cents to create. Now, the associated token account has a similar layout to the wallet account which we saw earlier. It has a mint. The mint is another account. For example, if you would have a token like USDC or similar, and you have the owner and the amount, of course. And the cool thing about the associated token account is it always tells the sender where to send their tokens. And so you have this deterministic derived address, which always gives the same result if you use the same wallet and the same mint address. Now, and this is all, we'll see this in a second as well, this is all done in your transaction for a transfer. So you always know where to send the tokens for the recipient. Yeah, this is a basic transfer, USDC to USDC. You can see that both already hold the token, so there doesn't need to be a new account created. In a minute, we'll see why this is important and where it can make a difference. But looking at this now from a code perspective, this is from a TypeScript client. Can you actually see this? You can see like here the different packages for which you need, which is the Web3.js, which is the deprecated one of Solana that most people still use, but there's a transition towards the Solana kit, which we mentioned earlier. Can make with, there's a dedicated package to make it backwards compatible called Web3 Compat as well. For this hackathon, it probably makes sense to just start working with the kits, since that's everything looking out into the future is what the Solana Foundation itself is also working with. And then, since we want to interact with tokens, we have the SPL token package. Now, then a very important piece here is to fetch the balances and to propagate your transaction to the network is the connection class. And this connects you to your RPC provider. For example, Helios or Triton or whatever you use in production. You would want to use in production a private RPC provider for continuous uptime. So you need to set up your environment with your API key and you go from there. Here we can see this example was on LocalNet, and there's a test validator on this port. Now, it looks more scary than it is. But essentially, here is where, in a transfer, the associated token account of the recipient is created if he doesn't hold the token yet. So here we derive the address with the mint. We have the recipient's wallet address, and then we get the deterministic address. And this instruction here creates idempotently the associate token account. This means either the recipient already holds the token, then nothing happens. But if he doesn't hold the token yet, the sender just creates the account for him, and we're good. So the transaction just goes through. And there's an alternative to do this where you either can fetch and see, but this is like one round trip. You would call with your RPC provider, and then best practice is to use an idempotent instruction for this. And then in the next step, you just transfer it and have it to the sender, and then you pay the transaction fees and have the amount as well. And this is then the whole thing where you then propagate the transaction at the very end and wait for the result. And this is sort of the round trip Jonas showed earlier in his presentation, where you send your transaction to your RPC provider, propagates it to the validators and the network, and then return it to you. In this case, we log the transaction signature. I hope that this is visible at all. Now, in the next step, I'm pointing out the payer here, which is you, for the transaction fee. And if we recall, we're building a payment application. So to give your users, your user base might not be Web3 native or might just be someone who's using PayPal before. So you want to abstract holding SOL from the user, because otherwise they would always need to first fund their wallet with Solana tokens. So this primitive is called fee abstraction. And I think the term gasless transactions comes from EVM. But in general, you can associate it with good user experience, because the user just can do whatever he wanted before, just as he would use any other normal application. You can either build this customly, which the concept behind it is pretty simple. I'll show you in a second. Or you can use Cora, the Solana Foundation's fee relayer, and there you can either let your users pay in USDC, stablecoins. You can even let them pay in any SBL tokens. I think one example is also to pay in Bonk, which is interesting example from the foundation here. But yeah, you can do anything there as well. So it's good that the infrastructure is now in place, and it's now up to the hackathon participants to build cool applications on top. But essentially, all you do in a gasless transaction conceptually is to set yourself as a fee payer. And this very simple example you can see here, you generate the sponsor wallet, build a normal transfer, and then set your application as the fee payer here. The sender also has to sign the transaction, because he's the owner of the tokens, so you can't just send on behalf of your users. But this is the core primitive here that you have to set your fee payer. Now I'll have to see. Okay. So this was a normal transfer, where we transferred USDC to another USDC token account. But what if the recipient doesn't hold a token yet? In this case, it's the global dollar here, the USDG. And we can see that there is not a token account created yet. So in this context, we just create as the sender it for the recipient. And this is sort of then the cost structure which you have. I think this is for associated token account for token 22, otherwise it's a bit high. I think at current SOL prices, it's approximately around 20 cents, but you can see the transfer can either have the sub-cent transaction fees, which you have anyway on Solana, or you need to create the account here, which costs about 20 cents, 29 cents, depending on the network's price. And thinking from the perspective that you're trying to build a payment application or a consumer app with good UX, you would want as less friction as possible. So in these cases, many firms, many startups, or also especially institutions that are onboarding large user bases sponsor these costs. And now, as you can imagine, this scales infinitely, depending on how many users you want to onboard or how many transfers they do to new recipients. So you either have to factor this into your cost economics here, the rent, or let the users pay to some extent for this. But yeah. And this is sort of the transition where the SDK, which we built, comes into play, which enables you to send transfers always at this sub-cent amount. And before we get into it, how exactly it works under the hood, we will compare the API surface of the Web3.js and the token interface SDK. So in essence, you interact with the same associated token account. We'll see in a second where we compare the code that the API surface is pretty similar. And you can think of this package sort of as a wrapper around the SBL token. So it has all the functionality of SBL token, but it also adds extra functionalities for interoperability, because you might have a centralized exchange or want to off-ramp where the token interface or the light token is not supported itself. But it's the same stablecoin held and sent by your users, just stored more efficiently. And also looking forward, there's a new package coming soon that's natively compatible with Solana Kit, but currently you have this little workaround with Web3 compat. At a high level, this is sort of how it maps, just the methods itself. ATA is the shortcut sort of for associated token account, but you can see that it is pretty similar at a high level, and also if we are looking at the code itself. Now, of course, here we need different packages to import. The Web3.js is used natively because it's the same Solana transaction and the same format. It's just built differently with the SDKs here, with the token interface, and the stateless.js, which is the RPC client. Speaking of which, since this is sort of an add-on and a wrapper around SBL, and there's a little bit different token account, you need another connection class, which is called RPC here on the right, and it wraps connection by Solana. And you just need an RPC provider that supports this primitive, but luckily Helios and also Triton support this. So from your perspective, using this, nothing really changes. Oh ja. Danke dir. Also comparing the transfer instruction itself, we can see that it's a bit shorter, but it does the same thing under the hood. So even if the recipient either holds the token or doesn't hold the token yet, the same thing happens. So you either create the associated token account under the hood here, or nothing happens and you just transfer the tokens. And then you transfer in the same way. The transaction, note here again, you use RPC instead of the connection class. But it's the same Solana transaction and it is the same flow which you're used to if you would build with Web3.js or Solana Kit. Of course, some of you might use Rust as well, but there is another SDK which has feature parity to this, so that's also not the issue. Now, this is the very cool concept which is under the hood of these cost savings. Now, as we remember, we have the rent exemption. Is there an arrow? Yeah. We have the rent exemption to create accounts. These are the 20 cents or whatever. Now, this friction is removed by the SDK. It's sponsored for you. And now you would think, okay, this is not economical for us. But one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that rent exemption is reclaimable as soon as you close the account. And the cool thing is that the ZK compression primitive allows you to close accounts and reopen them without any data loss. So what happens is the account is active and you have transaction writing to it. Then you don't anymore, and after approximately, I think the current default is 24 hours, it turns cold, and we close the account and reclaim the rent. And whenever you would access it again, you just load it under the hood. It's in the same transfer instruction which we saw earlier, all done for you. And the rent sponsor funds it again, and you have the same cycle, sort of. So you always only interact with the same Solana accounts, but with the cost savings of the ZK compression primitive itself. Now, what exactly is this primitive actually? It sounds scarier than it is. You don't need to understand ZK to use it, and you also don't need to understand compression to use it. It's just done for you. But essentially, this framework allows you to use the same accounts without you to pay rent exemption. And that's where these crazy 99% cost savings are coming from to create accounts. And the cool thing is it's fully composable with existing programs. You only have to see that the recipient also supports this, but if you would send it to Phantom, for example, the user would see this token and that wouldn't be an issue, and he could just send it somewhere else. Though since this primitive is pretty new, if you're building a deep DeFi application, you would want to unwrap to SPL and then go from there. And there you sort of have to bridge this gap via the interoperability methods. Now, let's quickly look into this term, ZK compression. It combines one thing people on Solana are familiar with, which is state compression. State compression was first introduced with compressed NFTs a few years ago, but it was purpose-built for that. Some people also use it for other things. For example, Helium uses it for their node network. They build a pretty cool infrastructure around this. But ZK compression is a generalized compression framework. So you have all these accounts hashed together, and only this hash is then stored in an on-chain account. And the account data is stored on the Solana ledger. You can think of the ledger as the entire record of every transaction. That if you replicate it, you get the same account state. Sort of, if you have your bank transactions, you always get the same balance at the end, but you can replay it. And it's all done by the RPC providers for you under the hood when you do your RPC calls. And now the only thing the ZK does is it batches all the proofs here to prove the correctness of the compressed accounts on-chain. So the RPC provider generates a proof for you, and you verify this against the on-chain state. But the cool thing here is that it's just done for you under the hood, and you don't have to understand it. But you can also, because we use this primitive and of the hashes that I used, if you're building a ZK application or any want to build a privacy application on Solana, you can use this as well because it's natively compatible with that. So it's sort of a foundation as well for ZK compute on Solana itself. And because these were a lot of words, this is sort of how you can think of it visually. We have the normal, regular on-chain accounts. You have one token, one token, one token, one account, one account, one account. And if you would compress it, it's in this data structure. This data structure is called a Merkle tree. And you can see that all these accounts are just hashes below here, but they're all in this one on-chain account in the root hash and verified with each transaction. This way, it's not less secure or anything like if you would store it in a Solana account. It's just stored more efficiently. You verify it with each transaction, and if you use the Light Token SDK, it's just done for you under the hood as well. And sort of this is the part where the account is loaded under the transaction when you would do a transfer with the Light Token SDK. So I hope this is tangible. And yeah, what's next? Again, this is the whole stack, sort of. To sort of recap this, we have, again, our users here, the wallet infrastructure. One of these providers I recommend to use. They have good SDKs and implementations, and provide good signing infrastructure as well here. The Cora here for gasless transaction, and then in the account model, you can use either a native Solana accounts or just reduce your costs using the Light Token SDK and ZK compression. A quick side note as well, since there's a lot of mindshare around this on Twitter. Jonas touched on this earlier with agent commerce or the whole agentic finance bubble, sort of. We are very early still here. But the cool thing is that the wallet infrastructure and the providers stay the same, because they also build agent wallets for this. So you similarly would build your transactions and then use different SDKs of them. And the protocols that are underlying here are X402 and MPP. They both use this 402 HTTP response, which we earlier saw with Jonas' cool comparison to the 404 code. The 402 code doesn't return not found, it just returns payment required. And both of these protocols, X402 and MPP, have Solana support for both TypeScript and Rust, at least on the MPP side. I think X402 is just TypeScript. And a few other languages like Go and so on. Now this is part of what you would build for a payment application, or these components are quite modular. And you can think of it if you can plug and play with all the providers and all the components which we just talked about, and think beyond this, because you might want more control over your wallet infrastructure or whatever program you're building underneath as well. So let me quickly just touch upon the PDA accounts, which are a core infrastructure piece here to whenever you would want to build, for example, an application where you register user state on chain, or need an escrow, or register anything, or want to use nullifiers to prevent double spending, or to replicate any instruction on chain again. So again, PDA accounts are just Solana accounts with a deterministic derived address. We saw this concept earlier with associated token accounts where you had the wallet address and the mint. And the wallet address is sort of the seed in the context from earlier. Here you can use anything. It can be your user ID or similar. and you would, from this and the program ID, then derive your account, and the program would be invoked and could sign. So you don't need a private key for this. And this deterministic derived account is just a very strong primitive on Solana as is. And it's used on the program side mostly for state that must be unique. So you would have a counter for user state. But actually, we have a few examples at the end as hackathon ideas to go through as well. Now, since we know that accounts cost rent exemption, there's as well the creation cost at the beginning, and there are many accounts that just scale with the amount of users you have. And typically, this is a cost that can be also reduced with the ZK compression primitive. But this is actually, we have a separate workshop on this, I think from last hackathon. We can maybe coordinate another one for this one as well with Carlo to go more through this, but there are different trade-offs or you can learn about, but it's out of scope for this one. But sort of that you get the idea there are more components you could need for your application. And now for this probably makes sense. I wrote a few example ideas down here on this slide, but if you go to this URL here, the Frontier Hackathon repo, it has a more exhaustive list, sort of. And I think, can I share this as well? Yeah. So it goes just from payment applications. I think it's probably too small. Oh. Yeah, to AI agents. Commerce, what else do we have? DeFi, probably based on the, here, tokenized stock lending is, for example, one example. I think Superstate or some other application launched, and there's like still a market for this. Usually you have other tokens you would use in your lending protocols. So it might be a new cool project here. Same goes for prediction markets. Of course, we had a privacy hackathon earlier this year on Solana, but this should not stop anyone interested in this field to build another privacy application here. It's still one of the most pressing topics, sort of, on Solana itself. And yeah, here just a few ideas. Private identity attestations, an agent registry, yeah. And then at the very last step, I want to show you a few resources that are also in this repo, which are, of course, the docs. Blueshift, mentioned by Merdan, I can really recommend. They have courses for beginners for the concepts and also for basic program development. And they're very well organized. Then Helios Labs has another repo with a long list of Solana resources that are really end-to-end. And then there are a lot of agent skills you can, of course, use. And here I recommend to check out the awesome Solana AI repo. And here are also the agent standards for either identity, for commerce, for privacy. Yeah. So check out this repo, and there are definitely some points to start for your hackathon. Because this was like a too small slide, I guess. Here are a few agent skills as well. Another tool I want to highlight is this button here. which is Ask Deep Wiki. Deep Wiki is a really powerful tool where you can index any public GitHub repository. So for example, if you would want to index even the public Claude skills repository and ask questions about it, or the Solana docs, or the some TypeScript package or Rust crate you have questions about, you could just, if they're open source, you could just pull up this repo and ask questions about it, and it auto-generated the documentation for this, and you can even use it for debugging and so on via their MCP configuration. But again, these and more are all in this small repo I published earlier, and I hope you check it out and can learn something from it. And if there are any questions, happy to take them. Otherwise, thank you for the attention.
Then we will have probably a 10 minutes break now, and then the next workshop is going to be online. So the host couldn't be here, so we will stream it here, and you will hopefully, like, we will test it once again, but you will get the sound over the boxen. But yeah, so it's like a 10, 12 minutes break for now. So if you need to pee or get another drink or coffee, that's your time now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the next partner basically who's presenting is Li-Fi. They are also partnering with us, so they will have a local track here for the build station. So their docs and like what they are talking about will be important if you want to integrate them for your hackathon project to win maybe a prize from them.
Well, can you guys hear me?
Back to focus. Our break is getting over. I still hear too many people are still talking in the back. Hey, everyone. Please, can you give me attention? I want to introduce our next workshop here. So please, yeah, just be a bit focused. We will have a break after this again. So as I said, we're gonna have local hackathon support also with Li-Fi this time around. So they're sponsoring a local track here, and they're gonna do a little workshop to introduce you into their platform, into their documentations and so on. So you can learn how to implement that. So we will introduce now Kenny from Li-Fi. He's DevRel there. And I think also Justin is gonna join in a second. He's already here in the stream. We are live on YouTube as well, but also doing the session here for you guys in a hybrid mode. So yeah, Kenny, I think you can start in the next 30 seconds. We just have to change the sound settings here. And then please give it up for Kenny and Li-Fi team. Thank you.
Awesome. Can you all hear me okay? Good. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. What a wonderful introduction. My name is Kenny. I'm the head of DevRel here at Li-Fi, and we're happy to be sponsoring and making sure that this hackathon is happening. I've been called on to do a bit of an introduction into who we are as a company and some of the things that we offer and that we would like you to take advantage of for everything that you're working on during this hackathon. So, Li-Fi, we are creating the universal marketplace. And at the moment, we have a team of over 100 people. We are founded, actually, Li-Fi started as a hackathon project as well, which is kind of also why we like to sponsor hackathons, and obviously because we want to support the community and we want to see that you build amazing things with our products, but also it is very relevant for our foundation as a company. We started in 2021. We're registered as a company in Berlin. We have a physical office in Berlin, so if you're ever in the region, feel free to drop by and say hi. So far, we've raised $52 million in terms of our funding rounds. And we are backed by some popular names that you might know: Coinbase, Circle, Multicoin, Dragonfly, CoinFund, a couple of them. From the time of our start of operations up until now, we've done over $66 billion in all-time volume, 80 million transactions, and we have 8 million unique users. We have support across 62 plus different chains, and 50,000 plus tokens are all supported on Li-Fi. As I go further into the presentation, you will get to learn a bit more about who we are and the kind of things that we do. So here are some of our B2B partners. We power Binance Wallet, Robinhood Wallet, Fireblocks, Lido, Phantom, Euler. There's a couple of them on the screen. Feel free to take a look at all of them. But here are some of the use cases that people, and amongst all the 800 B2B partners, Li-Fi are being used for the most, right? One of them is swapping, bridging, and perps, obviously for wallets and for trading platforms. We also have stablecoin payments and one-to-one transfers. I will get into how we support that and how we offer that later, but these are one of our biggest use cases. We have one-click cross-yield, one-click cross-chain deposits. This is for yield. So if you want to do lending, staking, if you want to do LPing, we support that, and partners use us for that. We also have universal onboarding coming out very soon to the public, but this is something that we already privately and internally support. So if you want to onboard crypto users, whether they are coming from their crypto wallets or from centralized exchanges or even from fiat, and they want to on-ramp, we provide all those services as well. Cross-chain yield aggregation, portfolio rebalancing and treasury management, deep liquidity for tokenized assets via off-chain market makers and KYB liquidity sources. We provide all that. End-to-end user journeys and conversion optimization, as well as arbitrage. So if you have any need for any of these use cases, or if you're building something today that requires any of these use cases, you can definitely use Li-Fi for this. Okay, so if you are a B2B partner or you're building tools that leverages some of our services, here are some of the things that your users are going to get right out of the box just by one integration. And this is also a key point that you would want to be aware of, because Li-Fi, all the services that we've mentioned and all the things that we offer can all be accessed via one Li-Fi API. So you wouldn't need to worry about all the underlying services on all the things that happen behind the scenes. Li-Fi just offers you all of these services via our APIs and SDKs. Okay, so for our swapping and bridging products, you're going to get best price routing across every DEX aggregator, bridge, and solver. Like I mentioned, we are an aggregator. Obviously, we have over 62 plus chains supported on Li-Fi, 50,000 plus tokens. We have a list of solvers in our solver marketplace that is also available to process transactions depending on your needs. We have one-click DeFi yield. With our Composer product, your users will be able to basically get into any LSTs or staking or yield positions directly from Li-Fi. So this is something that you can offer them if you're building products that requires your users to maybe deposit into a Mofu vault or into Lido or RV vault, or all of those workflows are all supported on Li-Fi, and you can offer that to your users. We also have universal onboarding, as I mentioned before. So if you want to onboard users and you want to offer them on-ramping, or you want them to come from their CEXs or from any chain or any platform, we allow you to do that as well as one of our core offerings. We offer stablecoin and RWA routing. So if you want to do cross-chain movement for stablecoins, tokenized deposits, RWAs, you can definitely use Li-Fi for that. Another thing is redundancy and uptime. Just as a result of how we've built our architecture, we offer multiple alternatives for any particular route. So if you want to maintain the highest amount of uptime and to ensure that you have backup plans and plan Bs for any kind of scenarios that your users might face, Li-Fi offers that out of the box, just as a result of how we built our product. And then we also offer tokenized asset liquidity. So for market makers to provide off-chain liquidity on RFQs, on an RFQ basis via our solver network. I will talk about our intent system very soon, but this is a kind of like a system that allows you to take advantage of all the solvers that we have in our network to offer KYB liquidity and one-to-one transfers to your users. Okay, how do you work with all of this? How do you work with Li-Fi? The first way is through our API. We have that documented. I can actually show you. So if you go to docs.li.fi, you would see our documentation site, which basically documents all the things that I've been talking about. But if you look at the API reference section, it would show you exactly all the things you need. So this is one of the easiest ways to implement or to integrate Li-Fi into your applications. The other way, what this offers you, by the way, is the most granular level of customization. It allows you to make sure that Li-Fi basically plugs into your stack, into your existing stack without any overhead of removing things or adding things. You can basically just do an API to API integration, and we sit into any stack that you use Li-Fi for. The other one is our SDK. Okay, the SDK is a TypeScript SDK that allows you to build Li-Fi, custom Li-Fi implementations into your stack. If you currently use like JavaScript or TypeScript in your stack, you can just npm install this SDK, and it basically bundles all our HTTP APIs into very dedicated components that you can just call and. And then the last one is the widget. Now, the widget is pre-built for you to basically plug and play into any front end, right? Once you do npm install this Li-Fi widgets, you can manually customize the fields. Basically, it gives you all our swapping and bridging functionality right out of the box so that you can basically show this to your users in a couple of minutes. Actually, if you're building anything today and speed is kind of your primary requirement, you want to get to a live product as quickly as possible. The widget allows you to do that. You plug it and play it, and you set your allow list, your deny list, the tokens you want your users to work with, and the widget can go live in a couple of minutes. Okay, and then we also offer developer support. Obviously, if you're working with Li-Fi and you run into any kind of issues, or you need to ask questions, or you need to talk to someone, we are a team of over 100 people right now, and we have developer support coverage across basically every time zone at this time. And we have a Li-Fi builders program where we basically support developers like yourself who are building and working with Li-Fi. If you have any questions, we're happy to add you into that group so that you can ask your questions and we can give you answers. Okay. Now, one of the products that is very important to us and that we've been making plans for is the Li-Fi Intents and Solver Marketplace. This is application-specific intents that are powered by Li-Fi. How it works is we have a marketplace of solvers where it's kind of like a trade and auction kind of system where if you make a request or if a user creates an intent out of your app, if you're using Li-Fi, the intent could be, hey, I want to get 10 USDC on base. Regardless of where you're coming from. What would happen is that the solvers that we have in our network would compete to fill that order basically by showing who's going to give you the best value, the fastest execution, and all other parameters accounted for. So depending on what the intent is, the solvers in our network is going to compete to fill that order. And what is really interesting about this is that these are solvers that could tap into private liquidity, use their own internal liquidity, and these are KYB solvers as well. So if you're building institutional grade kind of systems and you want compliance, this is a very good product to leverage for that. You get to also design your own intent flow without having to build the entire intent stack by yourself. You can basically plug into our existing solver network and use that to power your intent systems. Again, it's auction-based execution with configurable compliance and routing controls, which I just talked about. When you start working with Li-Fi, or if you want to test some of the things that you're building, or if you want to see how we get quotes or how to customize the widgets, we have a playground that allows you to do that. Okay, I will share links to all of this with the organizers, and they will find a way to send the links across to you. But it's playground.ly.fi, and here you can basically test swapping, you can test bridging, you can see how things work across different networks. It gives you one place where you can get a feel of what your Li-Fi integration would look like when you're done. So this is a good place for builders, because sometimes you want to get an idea of how Li-Fi works, or at least visualize some of it before you start building. Now, this is also using the Li-Fi widget. So if you're implementing or building any kind of integration with the Li-Fi widgets, you would get exactly the same kind of experiences here. Okay, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about our product suite. I know I covered some of this already, but again, we have the API products, which is ideally where you would want to start with if you want to basically have a very good granular control of the systems that you integrate with. It allows us to plug into your existing stack. That is one of the biggest benefits of the API product, is you can plug it into any kind of existing workflow and it wouldn't disrupt your existing systems. We also have that SDK, the TypeScript SDK that you can use to basically, it wraps around our existing APIs and exposes them as core components that you can call inside of your projects. Composer is our transaction orchestration engine that allows Li-Fi to perform actions like depositing into a lending vault or into LSTs or into other protocols. It basically compiles multiple launching actions into one transaction that you can just click and sign once, and it will perform all of the intended actions simultaneously without any need for a subsequent signature or subsequent approvals. It's Composer that also helps us power our end product, which we will be releasing to the public very soon. Now, we also have checkout, which is what I talked about briefly in the beginning when I was talking about the onboarding experience as a use case. So if you want to onboard users from any chain, from any centralized exchange, or you want to offer fiat source directly into your dApp, we have the LeFi checkout product that you can use for that. We have the widget we have just talked about and the intents and the PEPs aggregator. This is one that we haven't really made available to the public. All right, the PEPs aggregator just offers you a plug and play SDK that has the full UI and interrupt stack integration built in, which you can use to offer PEPs to your users. So this is some of the products that we have that you can play around with from today if any of these use cases seems like something you want to work on. And then we are going to be sponsoring the Germany track and the Balkans track for the LeFi and Colosseum Super Team Germany and Super Team Balkan hackathons. So if you're building at any of these places, it's going to be the same price pool for both of them. And we're happy to provide any other kind of support that you might need to be sure that you build really good experiences. We've provided some other supporting materials that I'm sure the organizing team will share with all of you to leverage as you try to work with LeFi. Now, in the track overview, integration requirements, your project must integrate at least one of the following LeFi products. You can integrate through the widget, the API, or the SDK. Those are the three product surfaces where you would eventually work with LeFi, regardless of what you're building or your use case. So if you use any one of those, you're good. You are expected to implement any one of these kind of experiences, cross-chain swaps, deposits, AI agent executing transactions. So we actually had, our last hackathon was a hackathon where we had builders build AI agents that were performing autonomous on-chain transactions. So if you'd like to do something like that, that is also very much welcome. Complex DeFi flows, multi-step transactions, any novel cross-chain use case that you can think of or that you already have as an idea of what you want to build. These kinds of experiences are very much welcome. Now, what makes you stand out in our own judgment or how we are going to assess the products that come out of this hackathon is the real-world usefulness of it. So we like to build products or demonstration of products that have good real-world use cases. Actually, we have an internal program where we take some projects from our hackathons and we try to help the builders scale those projects to become actual real-world products that other people use. And we help you with marketing, with go-to-market, with scale and announcement and all of that. So we really look out for projects that do have real-world usefulness that other people could use. We want to look at the quality of the product. Again, if you're thinking about it as a real-world product, you understand that it has to be of good quality, it has to be able to scale, it has to be able to meet the needs of the primary target that you're building it for. So the quality of the product, the quality of the code is important to us. And then the depth of LeFi integration. We want use cases where LeFi is a primary part of your technology, not like just a add-on. Maybe you're building something entirely different and you just want to add a swap functionality and you use LeFi for that. That is very good. We would recognize that, but we would much prefer a more robust integration and use case that are using LeFi for. And then very good user experience, because we do test and the apps that you build and the products that you create as a result of these hackathons. So we're going to use it ourselves, and if it has a good experience, that is a bonus for you. It's going to basically help you rank higher. And then the post-hackathon potential, I talked about that a little bit already. We want to see that if you build something really good with LeFi, that we can work with you after the hackathon to basically help you scale that up turn it into a product, bring it to market, help you get users to use that. And if your product doesn't have that potential, it's not going to rate as high as others who do. Okay. Then you can get in touch with us. Justin is the head of Solana ecosystem at LeFi. I'm the head of the DevRel. These are our socials. You can ping us on Telegram. You can send us emails, or you can talk to us on X. Any one of us can provide any type of help and support that you might need for this hackathon. So I hope I didn't take up too much time. Thank you very much for having us, and we're looking forward to what you build with LeFi. Okay. I was just there.
All right, we will take I think a 5-minute break. And then, Sati, you want to do it now, or? Okay, then next up we'll have an AI workshop by Sati. AI agents on Solana. Let's go.
Do you want to have it more interactive or rather teaching you stuff? You want to participate and like do stuff also? Yeah. Yeah? Okay, we'll make it interactive. It's always good to bring some interaction.
Do you have the link for StreamYard? Okay, wait, I'll send you the...
Mic check, mic check.
Das Mikrofon?
Okay, so sollte jetzt funktionieren.
Ja? Aber es war nicht
Can you
an
start?
davor.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
you start from the beginning? I
Yeah,
think it was
sure.
muted.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Take two. Hi. So, hi, I'm Sarthi. Yeah, I am not Anon anymore, sorry. And yeah, so we are here, the session is for beginners as well as someone who don't want to go very deep into Solana yet, but wants to still build or get a feeling of it. So we will do some agentic development. For those who have AI subscriptions or not, both are welcomed. And also if you are already on Solana and you already know how to do everything, it's just a quick setup and how agentic development works on Solana. So the requirement is you need to have a wallet. We'll make it interactive as possible. So I made this website like 30 or 40 minutes ago, briefly 1 hour ago. I planned it and just like for interactivity. This has nothing to do with any production level. This has no use, but it's just a voting website. So I'll just do like a quick quiz. So I just connected my wallet and I'll create a brief quiz. Okay, it's loading. So the purpose of this session is for you to know how you can get assisted with the AI agents rather than you learning everything and doing everything later. So it's like a fast track of how development works on Solana. So I'm creating a session called as Bootcamp. And this is the code for those who will join. So now I'm creating the session and now you'll get a QR code which you have to join. I'll first make the transaction to create a session.
You need to share your screen in the stream.
I did a whole screen. Okay, one sec. Okay, I think we are back. Oh, we are on those. Maybe the wallet only didn't appear.
No, you need to share your screen.
Did this
Stream out because
it is the screen, right?
No, you need to go on stream and then share it here again.
Oh,
I don't know why, but it vanished.
okay, it's fine, it's fine. Okay,
Okay,
it's working now? Okay, cool. Take 3. We are here to test out live demo on how transactions will work. So I want you to scan the QR code. You need to have a DevNet Soul in your wallet. It's not real money, of course. And if you don't have DevNet Soul, let me know. Maybe you can go to the faucet, which I mentioned, faucet.solana.com. Is it not working?
No, I mean, we have at least one person where it doesn't work.
Okay, if you don't have it, just maybe I'll share my Telegram. You can DM me or something. Or you can take from your neighbor. I hope your neighbor is Solana Dev. Yeah. Okay, do you need a... Okay. Okay, so I mean, I just need like few who joined. So they just know how to transaction works and how wallet works. That's just to get the feel of it. Because people don't know like everything you do, like messages and everything, it's like a transaction. And we'll just interact with how every action will be a transaction. Okay. So I hope everyone joined. So I'll publish first question. How many of you are inside?
Wait a second.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Just need like 2, 3 people. More are better. We are taking it very slow. This is chill session. No worries.
So I'm getting errors when I'm connecting my. Ah, no, I'm connected.
You might get one malicious error, but you can trust me personally.
And then you say load live session.
Yeah, join the live session, yes. And if you scroll down, you'll get like there is nothing yet. You have to wait. I'll post a question and you have to vote later.
Ah, yeah, it says waiting for the live.
Yeah. I'll post the question. Okay. Yes. I should have implemented a how many participants join feature. Maybe I can now. One sec, I can. Maybe. Hey, I want to know how many people joined and everything. Can you check it out? Add a quick feature, please. Okay. Okay. Until you join, maybe we'll have a feature. Okay, and after this, we'll move on to how agent framework, workflow, and orchestration works. And the main criteria of this session, the takeaways are mostly will be resources, then how you will use, how you can leverage those resources to fast track your development, and you can ship faster basically. Now it's the age of AI, and you have to like leverage this. You cannot be. You need to add up. That's it. Okay, I think I'll start now. Okay, so the first question I'll post. Oh, I can just write. What do you like the most, cats or dogs? Okay. Okay, I think I might have to change. Okay, don't mind the UX issues because this is just wipe coded an hour ago. Damn. When did it apply this feature? Okay, so we will move it to 60 seconds or maybe 2 minutes because you don't know how many. Okay, so the question will be published soon. Oh, maybe I have to do a transaction again. DevNet is okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I have created the question. Live result board. You have to click and approve the transaction which you do. That's your vote. And you just have to click it, and then the transaction will. Oh. Oh my God! I cannot handle this many people. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just DevNet, so. But okay.
Well, now you invited too many people.
Yeah, it's too many people now. Okay, but the oh.
Okay, so one thing I've
Okay.
learned, like, while seeing many people, like, building startups
Wait.
and whatsoever, if you don't have problems doing a technical demo, you're doing something wrong. So there must be some issue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not like a good demo. So,
Okay.
Bear
Let's try a quick one, and if we'll just start quickly. You can just join quickly. We will not.
I think it's not, like, for me, it's not loading the page again in my wallet.
Okay. Maybe it's the issue. I didn't check the client side. What's the issue? Okay.
So this is in my browser, but when I
Yeah.
click connect and it's trying to open it in my wallet,
Okay.
nothing happens.
Nothing happens? Oh, okay. Just it's something. Okay, it's client side issue, I think as well. Oh, its wallets are not working. Okay, I think we should move on. It's fine. But basically, what would happen is like you will do your transaction, your message. You'll select an option, and you will push to the wallet to do transaction, which will be noted in the ledger. So it will be transparent. The actions you can just go to the station wallet, which will be created while I generate a wallet, and everything will be there, transparency. So the voting transparency will happen. Okay, so going back to how everything works. Oh, okay. So how many of you are building on hackathon, this upcoming Frontier hackathon? Okay, interested folks? Okay, maybe on live also they are more interested. So this is my personal take or my personal workflow. Yours might be different or your preferences might be different, so it might differ, but you can check out how I do it and maybe you can benefit from it or let me know for any improvements. Thank you as well for that. Okay, so first one is ideation. everyone has an idea. If you don't have an idea, there is also idea bank for Solana, which you can check what ideas to build and everything. So stage one is the ideation, where you define the problem. And once you have these ideas, you cannot build everything. So you go to the stage two, which is research and validation. That's where I do it. So if I have a random idea which I want to build on a weekend, I just go deep research into it, what actually the idea should be about, what the tech should look like, what's the business look like, and it should also like have a valid feasibility. What is it really worth to create ideas, because you are using AI and everything, it's waste of your time sometimes. But maybe you can learn something, but you need something productive in your life. And then you iterate. So what happens? You have a random idea, you talk to your mentors, in Solana people, super team people, you just talk to them, they just validate your idea, and maybe they like 50%, 70% of it, they give you some suggestions, and you are in the cycle of iteration. Once you have your idea and feedback, everything ready, you create 3 markdown files. So these are the artifacts where you tell your AI agent to create a PRD, which is product requirement document, which creates everything which is needed to make this software or application possible. Then there is status.md, which is, so if you use multiple agent orchestration, you need a unified database or a status. That's where this helps in. And the next one is agent.md, which is similar if you know Claude.md. So it's just agent roles, what they do, what are their principles to follow, what are the tools they should follow. So this is what we call the build content, which we know what we need to build now. So at this point, we know what we are building. Now comes to the prompt. So now we give the prompt, we focus on what prompt should be. So we'll tell in the prompt like, hey, this is the tracker, this is the rules, and this is the PRD, which he will refer to mostly. And then you will go to the next stage, which is called stage 3, is to have resources. So for this, you will need 3 things, as in.
The screen for some reason.
Okay, yeah.
Can you open it?
Yep. Okay.
Happens, but it just happened, so people didn't miss out anything.
It's fine. Cool. Let me know. Okay. Okay, so stage 4 is agent configuration. So if you want to do multi-agent orchestration, how I do it is if you type /agents in your Claude code, you can build your own separate agents which will work inside your CLI. And I generally have architect, then Solana developer who has the Solana skills access, front-end developer has the Anthropic front-end access, and then the QA, tests, and everything. We have the MCPs. Previously, in the session, we also talked about Helios MCP, and there is also Solana MCP. Sandia MCP is for if you really need it. So if your PRD will mention it, you will have to do it. And then there are skills which I would recommend, Solana Dev skill, then Anchor skill, and there are other skills if you want, you can connect, and CLIs. So this is the step 4 of doing things. Then we move on to the step 5, which is a human should do. So you will need to provide with RPC endpoint. You need a Helios or QuickNode RPC, then a wallet key pair. I hope that's set up you need to do very previously. And then the API keys, which is the environment variable, which contains sensitive information, which should not be leaked and not commit. So these are the things which I do. That's how I do it. And so how many of you have a subscription, AI subscription? Okay. How many of you don't have AI subscription? Okay. Do you guys want to pay for AI subscription or you want it for free? Free. Okay. So I'm also a student, and I can understand we cannot pay for too much for the AI subscription. So what I do is, I don't know if you have went to the tweet I did. So what do you do if you don't want to do any AI subscriptions? So what the? Okay, so if you don't have $20 to spend, it's fine. But this is only for experimentation. So you download open code, then once you have the open code, you just have to plug in API keys. And this is the list of API keys which are free, and you can just make a list of this API and give it to the open code, and you'll wipe code for free with a limited amount, of course. So it's not a very high-end models, but I mean, there are few which is Kimi from NVIDIA and everything, which is very high-end models, which you can use. So if you have a reason or excuse that you don't even know what Solana is, but then you say, okay, but I don't even have a subscription, now you also can have like open code with for free. So you don't have an excuse not to build. So this is the thing I wanted to share. And if you don't have it, I'll mention the link later in the resources, because the resources are the key part of this session. So let's go through the how I do it. Oh, okay.
Maybe just share that screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. But then I cannot. Okay. Cool. So, wait. Oh, okay. Yes. So we'll just walk through how things looks like in PRD and everything. So this is PRD I created. I just actually talked to my Claude how things work and everything. So also, if you are also very lazy, you cannot type, I also have this text to speech, which I do, where you can just type in once you know, like you don't know how to type. So it's like Whisper Flow, but for free. So you can check out if you want. It's called Handy GitHub. It's an open source tool. Okay, so getting back to the topic, Solana Vote, which I just did right now. So how it works, you provide what the product should look like, the summary, the goal, and the non-goals, because you have to always maintain and instruct what it should not do or it should do. Okay. Yeah. Should I just, okay, there's a new one. So
Okay, then you have to do this.
okay, let's just do this. Okay, just let me know. Ah, yes, and now now it will happen. See now? Worked? Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. So you have to always be very thorough of your prompt and everything. One thing I want to share is how the prompt should look like. There are few examples which you can check out. So these are the repositories. I'll share it later. Okay. Okay, wait. Okay, so this is the resource links which I'll share later in the talk, but this is one of the examples I like for how prompt should look like. So you should actually go through this and how you should have like structured prompt, and if you have this, these are like good examples which you can go through, and maybe you can tell your AI agent to have your prompts like this. So have goal, particular goal, then what are your needs, what are the providers, then project starter, do everything. And this is like one of the ways I do prompt. I mean, I learned how to do prompt, one of the things. So getting back to how everything will look like. So this is a PRD, which has everything. Product surface, it has creator, which I had everything in mind. And it's mostly like structured document, which will have everything. Okay, so getting back to the next one, which is status. So status is like a tracker. It will say, so these are the tasks which it needs to complete. And so if I orchestrate 3 agents or 4 agents. Every agent will pick up their own task. So it's like work tree, how agents will work inside their work tree, and they'll not have any, they'll not mess up the code, or there will not be any conflicts while merging. And if you can see, this is all the things I tasked it to do, and most of them are completed. So if you see, everything is divided, phase. So front end, DevNet, verification, on-chain core. So this is backend. So backend, everything is ready. Of what I told them in the PRD till the MVP only. I don't want to make a full production doc or something. And this is a front end. And this is how everything will be there. And there are few gaps which it mentions very clearly. So I have a room for improvement a lot. And let's go to the next one, which is actually the important one. It's called agents MD. So agents MD is instructions for agents. So its purpose. This file defines how agents should work in this repository. It should have this primary source of truth in order. And then it goes to agent roles, how it should read these files. Then the backend engineer, how the front-end engineer look like, and others. I can show you how actually I made this agents. So one sec. Wow. Okay. God. It's very slow. Okay. Right now you can only see codex, but I want to, okay, Claude, okay. Then Claude always have, it's not recommended, but if you have to do it, just do it. But only within your repository, it should not harm anything. And once it's load, we'll have, okay, I shared about this agents. So /agents. So /agents are agents inside your CLI, which is, they have their key purpose and roles, which you can use again and again. So yes, I accept. Okay. Here, if you type /agents, and here you see all the agents available. Create a new agent. Okay, maybe it's not in this account. Oh yeah, I can show how to create one. Okay. So if you can see which agent, like if it's your personal project or something, but I would recommend do it on project. But if it's like Solana agent and you'll do more Solana projects now, you can generate it for AI agent for long term. So here, okay, I need to create a prompt. Okay. Refer to the Solana docs as well as the skills which are implemented. These are some URLs which you need to research and make the agent, and the agent should be a Solana developer. Okay, transcribing. Okay, so I need to give him the resources, which I'll just drop in everything, because he needs to figure out stuff. You don't have to, you just chill. Okay, that's why it's kind of a vibe coding. JSON format. Oh no. Okay. Last time I did this was like when you just tell your Claude to make something, and he will give you the JSON format. Right now I'll just use this. Holy shit. Okay, I'll just use prompt layer. Okay. Still not sure if this will work. Just he'll just figure it out. But yeah, I mean, once you will make this, just make sure to, okay, there is some issue, but that's how you just tell your Claude to go and let's see, let me just do it maybe. Claude. Okay. Hey, so I want to make a agent inside Claude CLI, and I want to make him a Solana developer. Can you give me a JSON prompt and how it should have, so I can just give it to the Claude and he will make the agent. Here are some references if you want. Is it not there? Okay. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, just keep reminding me though. Okay. Okay, I'm switching a lot, so that's why maybe you will have this issue. Just let me know. Okay, and I provided with what it's asking. Okay, there might be some translation errors. Okay, and you gave them a bunch of skills, so he can just figure it out. Okay. I think for this we have to wait, but till then we'll move on ahead with the agents.md. Okay, so here you'll decide, make rules how coordination will look like, that they have to update after each feature, and the status should be updated, and what do not reproduce. So as you can see, instructions should be as strict as possible because the agent can hallucinate, or they can just go on board, or they can just do extra stuff sometimes, and it's messy. Okay, let's see. I have now a solid picture. I mean, you should. Okay. Okay, for those who, okay, I cannot show my NVIDIA because it might expose, but you just have to go to NVIDIA, create your account, and in the account you will get like all the models and a API key, which is a unified API key for all the models. I would suggest to select KeyMe, K2 or 2.5, which is the best model for coding. So whenever you are putting that API key into your open code, just put that, and everything should work as good as Codex or Claude until it hits limit. So it's good, but the more better the model is, the more it consumes the tokens. So your tokens will be exhausted very quickly. Okay. Wow. At least we can see what's happening. Okay, done. Nice. Okay, also one more thing which I can mention for you to save tokens. So I would like to, I save a lot of tokens. I have my OpenClaw, my Hermes agent, and my IronClaw. And I only have I have few subscriptions. Most of them I got for free in the events, but how you do it is always have models for each role. So the orchestrator model should only orchestrate. So let's say, imagine it's like a company and you are the boss of company, and you don't have to do tasks what intern will do. You just have to tell him these are the tasks you need to do, and this is the way to do it. And then he will do it following your guide, let's say. And okay, let me put the JSON. Wow. Hopefully, no, what does it say? Oh, okay, it's there. Okay. It says it's not there. Okay. I think I don't know what's the issue here. But we'll debug. This is how you debug. Just get back to it. Okay, so back to the topic. So if your agent, which is your boss, should be the one who has the higher model, and the other agents who will be working agents will just have a lower model than the main model. So for me, I use Sonnet 4.6 or 4.5 or Opus 4.5 sometimes, low or medium thinking, just to do the coding tasks, but not for the extra, wait, not for the very complicated tasks. For the complicated tasks, you go to the Opus 4.6 very high or ultra thing, or you go to the Codex 5.4 very high. Okay, I know what to do now. Just kill it, kill it, kill it. Okay, and let's try once more. If it works, it works. Okay, oh, now you see my agents. Okay, so I have a backend specialist. I have my ecosystem dev. Then I have my front-end architect. I have Solana Dev expert. I have a DevRel strategist. He is back in 1 year. And I have, so focus on Solana Dev's expert. He's really good. And what I can do here, so let's say I showed you all these things. And then I'll just say Solana. So Solana Dev expert, I tagged him and say, hey, can you check all the things which we did and make sure there is nothing malicious happening, or maybe it's a security-wise risks and everything. I want you to recheck everything, test everything, and get back to me. And now I'm not talking to my main agent, but I'm talking to Solana agent which is inside. So it's one of the agent. And he'll work separately. Oh, shit. No worries. I also have one solution to this. I don't know if I should do this now in the live stream. Should I? Okay, should. Because I have multiple subscriptions, so I just switch. I don't know if that's efficient or a good way to talk here. Okay, I'm back. I am successfully here. I go to the same prompt. Now I'd start. Okay. Wow. I think I'm out. Valid out. Okay. Last try. Okay, hopefully I'm not out of tokens. Please. Okay, thinking. Okay, good. Okay, now it's saying I'll invoke the Solana Dev expert and he'll perform what? Comprehensive security audit. Okay. So this is like one of the ways to call your agents, the specialized agents. Well, so they'll do their own thing, and there is no context issue, to be honest. But on the very broader side, you cannot. You have to manage your context efficiently. But if you have like $20 subscription, it's kind of hard to do it. But there are ways to be efficient in that. You cannot avoid it. Okay, it's still yet to invoke. It's just taking the context of everything because everything was made mostly by Codex, and it's just taking how everything works. Okay, the feature is live. Nice. Now I'll invoke. Okay, so that's one of the ways to have agent. Meanwhile, it happens. We'll get back to the topic. Okay. So we talked about this. We talked about dev skills. So this is like a context of how Solana and everything works inside Solana. So is it there? Okay. Okay, this is my repository. Then this is a repository you should look at. So this is awesome Solana AI, and it has like literally everything. So it has Helios, Phantom, every skill that you need. Solana plugin. These are like Claude Code plugins. If you are building, so you have to first decide what's your project domain in. So is it AI coding skills? It's general, so you can just install whatever is reasonable for you. Then if it's a DeFi project, you just go through what DeFi context you need. You have to ask in the PRD what tech stack it's using, what things it's using, tools and everything. Then for infra and AI agents and developer tools. So these are like all the things in one repository. I'll share this link later in the resource document. Then you have the main dev skills. This is officially by Solana Foundation. Both are from Solana Foundation. So you just install this. That has reference to everything, how everything should work. The one thing to notice is if you just say to your Cloud Code that, or any AI agent, that if you have just built this product or something, so there has been issues with this, that sometimes the agent by default assumes it to be a EVM based smart contract. So it hallucinates a lot. So you need to be very thorough with the skills, and that's why it's recommended to use MCP as well as the skills to keep it in check, that it should not hallucinate or go overboard or something. And this is the main thing. I use this and the awesome skills. Then I mentioned this is like a prompt and everything. You can take a look. You can check also. Then this is like what we call a marketplace of skills, not a marketplace. This is like every skill are listed here. So the skills I talked about, front-end design skill, then you go with agent browser, skill creator. Here, if you type in Solana, you'll find the skill which I was talking about, Solana Foundation DevRel skill. Here, one thing to notice is always check the skill, where is it from? So this is the official Solana Foundation skill. But I won't recommend you to just randomly go through any skill and just do it. They might be safe, but just make sure to just check, verify the repository before installing any skill. And these are agent skills. And okay, this is just my project. Oh, okay. So I think that's most of it. And this is my project. If you want to see how I did it and like need some reference, you can go through the website, I mean URL, and you can check out the PRD agents.md and the status.md if you like it. You can take as a reference. You don't have to particularly do the same thing, because this things are mentioned or built purposely for the main project. It's not my global thing, but it's recommended to have agents.md for your personal computer. So every time it goes, it follows certain set of instructions. Mostly, if you have heard cloud.md is the thing, but I would really recommend to have agents.md, which is actually like agnostic, like for everything. I mean, yeah. So, okay, what's happening here? Okay, so if you can see here, the Solana Dev expert agent is invoke. He is working in its own. He will not share everything. Now I can also invoke front-end agent. Oh. Agent. So oh, okay. Agent. Now I want a front-end architect. Check out, there are some issues in the front end. I want you to fix it. So this is not how you should give a prompt. It should be really thorough. I'm just doing it for like reviews and everything. You just look through it. So so agent dev expert is done. Use element tools. Okay, so this is one of the things. And I think that's basically everything on how everything should look like. This is like particularly the flow of how I do things. Not necessarily you have to follow, but maybe you have to improve. You can improve this flow because everything is new and I'm also learning. There are a few examples I checked out. So Solana, Claude, and other configurations which you can find everything open source. There is also, I think in the previous sessions, it's mentioned always that there are quick installations and everything which you can check, and you can check how to learn everything. And now we move on to the resources. So I'll share this resources. I think I have how, can we, do I have to do QR code or we can share the link later? Okay, yeah, cool. We can do it afterwards. Okay, that's, I think that's mostly everything, and I hope you got something out of it. And if you have any feedback or anything, just let me know. I'll will be happy to help as well as learn something from you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, well, I have an analysis of my security results. This may not be perfect, but this is like very high overview of it. Excellent, strong, clean. Okay, so you can trust me. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Refer to the repository and I'll share the resource link later. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Thank you, Sati. This was the last workshop of the day. So as you know, this was the technical part. Tomorrow we will have everything about Colosseum. We will cover all your questions, best practices, how Colosseum works. We will go over Copilot, go over some verticals that are potentially more interesting and have higher probabilities of winning. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Also online, we have 240 people watching. As I said, you can join us tomorrow again. Tomorrow we will be talking about Colosseum. We will have an idea fund, so also for everyone here, we will have cash prizes tomorrow. So it will be a bit more interactive where you can come up front, pitch your idea, and win $250. And yeah, do we have any questions before we wrap up about today or tomorrow? Okay, great. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining and see you tomorrow.